Greetings. Welcome to Powered by Nyame. I'm your guide and host, Kwesi Kunadu. On this episode, we try to tackle a big question with a simple answer. The question is, why do we have rituals? The simple answer? Well, rituals are the language of the universe. It is a connective tissue that binds together and makes operative, or it activates the things that have to be set or maintained in motion in the universe. In other words, it is the filament or conductor of energy in this world and those worlds other than the ones that we can perceive through our common senses. And so, why is that the case now? I'll explain. And then I will share with you some few rituals that I've gained over the past few years, especially last year, that may be of value to you and your household. So, why that is the case, if you agree with the premise of that I've shared a moment ago. And here's why. Ritual is the language of the universe because it what makes all that we do. Now, I'll start with a very common, basic idea of rituals. Now, we all have rituals, at least we should, which is that we bathe every day, or we should, and that is a ritual. That is something we do repeatedly that has a desired outcome or effect. That's a ritual. Brush our teeth, which we should at least once or twice a day, if not more. That is a ritual, something we do with a frequency that has the intent and the aim of a certain outcome. In this case, clean, fresh-smelling breath and clean and healthy teeth, right? And so these are common rituals that we engage in. For example, cooking, cleaning, hygiene. There are rituals around those things, but rituals that I'm referring to, even those are important, the rituals I'm referring to is the movement or manipulation of energy. Because as you might remember from previous episodes of Powered by Nyame, that we, the species called human beings, are simply just energy that is encapsulated with matter, right? And so energy runs throughout us. If you ever rubbed your feet on a carpet or rug and touched someone or a balloon, you'll feel that there's a shock. So we have energy that in us and that runs through us. Likewise, if you think of someone and someone calls you or someone, texts you, it's because there's a current, there's a circuit that is completed, there's a loop completed of energies that you may not be able to see or apprehend, but it's operating. And so what rituals do, they actually harness and put to use the energy that already exists in the world and in the universe. And so that's why rituals are the language of the universe, because they in fact not only speak to, but speak about all that is happened in motion and placed in motion. And so if there's an action that's needed, rituals are a part of that. And you might be thinking, well, are rituals confined solely to different spiritualities, or is it part of religion, or is it just simply a common part of life? Well, it's all the above, because all the so-called world religions involve rituals, whether it is use of certain beads or certain texts or certain kinds of chants or invocations. All human cultures involve a series and set of rituals that are both bound in culture and that are also transcultural. Transcultural meaning it kind of goes beyond culture. So for example, someone may be practicing a cultural ritual that is specific to their culture and only makes sense and has value and worth in that culture. Then there are those that actually have value outside of the culture. That's what I mean by transcultural, that is beyond the culture, it has value and use. And there are many parts of human culture that have that transcultural feature. Some of those we might get into another episode. For now, I want to stay focused on this very important idea, the very important notion about rituals and why do we have them in the first place. And rituals, indeed, are one of the main ways in which we keep a communication and a connection with the creative force of the universe and cosmos, that is, the Almighty, God, etc. And so that language is crucial, right? You might be thinking, well, what does the Creator have to do with, these earthly or human rituals? Well, they have everything to do with them, because how do we as human beings who are encased or covered with this human body, human clothing, and are not solely spirit anymore, connect with the great overarching spirit? or we have to have a means, we have to have a language, and that's what rituals provide. It is the means, it is the language, it is the conduit. Again, it's the filament that this energy or electricity, is conveyed, and it makes things, either puts it in motion or it maintains the motion of that particular act or thing. And so here's a few rituals that I think will be helpful to you for this new calendar year and forward. And so one of the rituals is that I want you to get, if you don't have one already, a white basin, right? Metal basin preferably. But if you have plastic, then we'll work with that. And a white cup. And I want you to fill them with water, both with water, to the desired amount that you feel moved by. And put the cup inside the basin, and then put the basin on a platform. It could be somewhere outdoors. In fact, it should be outdoors, somewhere that is elevated, right? So it could be on blocks, it could be on a patio, it could be whatever elevated place that is not easily accessible by, if you have pets or people who may be, a nuisance. So out of the reach of those kinds of things. And what you want to do is, every day, either in the morning or in the evening when you come home from work, you want to say your prayer or have your moment where you speak directly to the creative force of the universe at that particular point. In other words, this is what may be called an altar. I rather call it simply a device of communication, much like our cell phones, right? It's a device of communication. So again, it is a metal basin, preferably white, that is preferably metal, but if you have plastic, then you can do your best, but try to get a metal one, and a ceramic cup, that is a teacup, white teacup, and you fill both with water. The cup goes inside the basin, and you put the basin on a platform of sorts. Could be made of wood, could be blocks, whatever it may be, and that will be your point of contact. That will be your sort of sacred place where you have your contact and your communication. Now, while there, when you say your prayer, when you have your conversation with the divine, I want you to do it in your head. And here's why. I learned over the years that when a great misunderstanding and a great reason why many of our prayers aren't answered and answered in the way that we expect, that we desire, is because of how we pray, right? And the way that we do so. And there are different kinds of prayer, whether they be called prayer as in something that is said out your mouth, in the form of a following text or not, or it can be simply invocation, or it can be a libation, whatever the manner in which you do it. And I'm referring to this generally as prayer, so that everyone has a common baseline understanding. That the common mistake many of us make is that we say it out loud, and guess what? Negative or demonic spiritual forces and figures can essentially listen to and therefore intercept, make trouble with the very thing that we ask for, to disguise themselves things that we ask for. So we think we get them, we don't get them, we get it simply a version of them that can be very dangerous to us. And so one of the best strategies is to have your prayer or libation, say it in your head. Because these forces that are of the negative sort, they can't read your thoughts, right? And so only the creative force and those spiritual beings or figures dispatched by this creative force can read your thoughts. And so your prayers are always packaged, sealed, and sent to the proper address without any hijacking, interference, and worse, interception that can lead to essentially something that you asked for, that it becomes packaged and then used against you in a way that will not be something you want. Another ritual that you can use for not only your family and your household is the ritual that involves simply putting water by a door, by a place for which you may hear, for example, noise or talking or movement at night, but you don't see or hear anyone there. Just simply get any bowl or vessel of water and put it on the floor by that door, by that place, right? And it will essentially deal with, or basically it will trap right? Much like water can trap dust particles in the air, it will trap that particular force, and certainly over time, make it uninviting. Because here's a secret that you may not know is that spiritual forces are figures. They hate water. As it being splashed with water or touched with water, and so water then becomes your, weapon that can be used against, these kinds of presences that you may not see, hear, or understand, but you might feel or sense or hear. For example, a smoke alarm goes off and there is no smoke. There's movement or rattling or sounds that should not be coming from the particular part of your home or wherever you may be. And so putting down a vessel of water there, let it sit there for maybe a few days, and then you can change it if you desire, if you still hear the sound of commotion or whatever the presence may be. That should be able to quell and deal with that, right? Another ritual that you can do for the new calendar year and beyond is a ritual that involves buying a small book. It could be a 5x7 or less, 4x6 small book. And this will become what may be called a prayer book, right? And in this book, what you want to do is this. You want to, once you get it, and you can have those ones that actually have a sort of tie around it. And once you get it, then you essentially you anoint it with olive oil, pure olive oil, not the cooking variety, but the one you may use on your body. And you anoint it with olive oil, right? And you say a prayer that whatever you write in that book, it should be realized or manifest. And this book, you can write it at any time, the day or night. And speaking of night, night's coming down again. And so you can write it in the day or night. And this particular book, you will put it next to your nightstand, if you have one or something close to a nightstand, and you write in it whatever that is that you desire. That is positive, productive. I'm not saying or betting that everything will get an answer or get a response or will be manifest, but the things that are genuine, that are from your heart and soul, and that are necessities, those things you will see them begin to happen. So have a prayer book that you write. And again, this is another way from the mistake that many people make by praying and praying out loud, is that, again, those prayers that are lodged in this book is between you and the creative force. There's a direct line, direct connection that essentially bypasses any intermediaries that may intercept, trap, or delay or defer, the particular desires you may have. For Baba Nyame, I've been your guide and host. Until next time, please leave your comments and questions in the section below. Until then, stay well.